Patrick Ewing is one of the greatest centers ever. 7 feet tall, patient yet explosive, imposing yet adroit, Pat controlled the rim on both ends, matching his offensive force with the finesse to burn defenders and the touch to step out for a splash. Ewing retired one of the most accomplished shot blockers ever and ranks high up on the scoring chart too. The NBA acknowledged Ewing's prowess from the outset of his career with the New York Knicks. He earned regular league recognition, regular All-Star selections. He was named one of the NBA's 50 greatest players, and his number hangs among those of legendary Knicks champions. And yet, this college champion and Olympic gold medalist couldn't return New York to its past glory. Why? What stopped Patrick Ewing short, just short, of an NBA title? Inevitably, one of you is going to respond to the premise of this video with a comment like, 2 words, Michael Jordan. This will betray your tragic lack of curiosity. I feel sorry for you. But also, yeah, kinda. During Ewing's early career, years coached mostly by Hubie Brown, the Knicks just weren't good. By the late 80s, Ewing and head coach Rick Pitino had a strong, young supporting cast. Brilliant new point guard Mark Jackson led the bomb squad backcourt, and Charles Oakley, former MJ sidekick, joined Patrick in a bruising frontcourt. That team won 52 games in 1989, by far the best record of Ewing's career to date, good enough for an Eastern Conference 2 seed behind the Bad Boys Pistons. Ewing got his first playoff victory, then faced the 26-year-old reigning MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, Jordan. Chicago wasn't just a one-man show at this point, but Jordan's young supporting cast hadn't quite caught up to Ewing's. The Bulls were a 6 seed the Knicks should have handled. The disaster began in Game 1. The Knicks had the game in hand with a 12-point fourth quarter lead, but let the Bulls chip away while failing to get the ball to Ewing. By the final minute, it was tied, though Mark Jackson had multiple chances to avoid overtime. He missed a 3 on New York's last scripted play, then, in an unscripted moment, stole Chicago's ensuing inbound and came so close to hitting one of the greatest shots in playoff history.
Oh, can my heart stand it?
Anyway, Game 1 went to OT, and MJ made it a blowout, finishing a 34-point triple-double with 9 points in the extra period. He'll do that. The series appeared to slip away in Chicago. New York fell behind 3-1. But Ewing made it 3-2 with a brilliant Game 5 back at home, and the Knicks nearly dug themselves out of the hole with a miraculous end to Game 6 in Chicago. After recovering from a third-quarter collapse, the Knicks trailed by 4 in the final seconds. Trent Tucker took a handoff from Ewing and delivered a 4-point play and Marv Albert call for the ages.
Unbelievable! Frank Hodges committing a foul on a 3-point play!
After Tucker's free throw tied it, Jordan drew a foul and pulled the Bulls back ahead with points 39 and 40. Even that wasn't the end. New York raced up the court and got Johnny Newman an unbelievably clean chance to trigger a Game 7, but he rushed it. Chicago pulled off the upset, but couldn't do the same against the mighty Pistons. And that's how it went for Ewing and the Knicks in 1990. After an astounding first-round comeback against the fading Larry Bird Celtics, the Knicks got smacked out of the second round by those same Pistons who were headed for a repeat. Then it was really, truly MJ time. Jordan built a dynasty on the Knicks' heads. New York had a down year in '91, firing newish head coach Stu Jackson mid-season. They barely made the playoffs, and the Bulls swept them with ease to kick off a merciless run that culminated in Jordan's first ring. These Bulls were fully realized, with Phil Jackson leading from the bench, and Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen ascending as Jordan's co-stars, and great pants. But the Knicks would find their own identity, and they nearly intercepted titles 2 and 3 for MJ. Nearly. The 91-92 Knicks had a slick new coach, Pat Riley, former director of the Showtime Lakers. But they were not Showtime. Around Ewing, Riley commanded an elite defense of irritable underdogs. While veteran Xavier McDaniel joined Ewing in the starting lineup, Newcomer Anthony Mason and rising star John Starks brought heat off the bench. This group took some burden off Ewing's shoulders, lifted New York back above 50 wins, and got belated revenge in a first-round series against the Pistons. That set up a rematch with the repeat MVP and his reigning champs. A Ewing masterpiece in Game 1 gave the Knicks a shocking 1-0 lead over Chicago, and New York dragged that early edge all the way to an Eastern Conference semifinal Game 7. But back at Chicago Stadium, Ewing struggled on a sore ankle. The Bulls owned the decisive game, led by Jordan's 42. Defeat. But a close series against the eventual champions. Something to be proud of. Progress. And then there's 1993. Quite a different group than the prior year. Replacing Jackson and McDaniel were veteran point guard Doc Rivers and forward Charles Smith. Young Greg Anthony took on a bigger role. Riley pushed the 93 Knicks to the league's best defense and the East's best record, 60-22, better than the Bulls. In round 1, the Knicks denied Reggie Miller his first playoff victory as a Pacer. In round 2, they smoked Alonzo Mourning and the upstart Hornets. Hi guys, see you later. So yeah, 30-year-old Ewing looked primed at last to take down MJ, although Chicago sweeping their first 2 series made it clear they were in a three-peating mood. Both teams held serve to open the 93 Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks survived Games 1 and 2 in New York, stifling one Chicago comeback thanks to a John Starks dunk so legendary that you can just say the dunk and New Yorkers will know what you're talking about. The Bulls more than survived Games 3 and 4 in Chicago. Pippen carried them in Game 3, and Jordan silenced chatter about his visits to Atlantic City by dropping 54 points in Game 4. It'd be a lot easier to beat this guy if you people would just stop talking about him. But the Knicks held the high seed. Win home games, win the series. And the Knicks entered Game 5 accustomed to triumph at Madison Square Garden. Game 5 was a close one. People remember how it ended more than they remember other details, like Ewing leading all scorers with 33, including crucial late baskets. Folks might not remember the B.J. Armstrong 3 that put the Bulls up 2 with a minute left. They've forgotten that the game shouldn't have ever been close, that the Knicks shot a gruesome 20 of 35 from the free throw line, including an off night from Ewing, and this Charles Smith miss that left the Bulls still up 1 in the final minute. When Chicago had a chance to ice the victory, Pippen got smothered, then Ewing got a hand on Stacey King's desperation jumper, forcing a 24-second violation. What people remember is this. On New York's final play down 1, Ewing stumbled as he drove left, shuffled a pass to Smith, then watched a succession of flubs brutally narrated by Marvell. Game 5 will forever be the Charles Smith game. Ewing's tapestry of playoff doom hangs on moments that just curdle your guts, and that's a big one. More to come. Anyway, Game 5 didn't kill the series, just New York's home court advantage. Ewing played splendidly at Chicago Stadium in Game 6, and a poor shooting night from MJ let the Knicks hang around. But in big moments, Pippen had the answer, like this fourth quarter 3 late in the shot clock, and another one to put victory out of reach with a minute left. Win at home, win the series. The Knicks didn't, the Bulls did, and then Chicago went and won title number 3. Jumping ahead, MJ title number 4 in 1996 also came at the expense of the Knicks, despite John Starks stirring some hope with a stellar performance in New York's overtime Game 3 win. The Knicks squandered a late Game 4 lead. Ewing and Starks both made late errors, but Bulls fans remember this one best for Bill Wennington's silky smooth jumper in the clutch. Chicago went up 3-1, then took the series in 5, and then, So, yes, Michael Jordan. But that can't be all of it. For one thing, Ewing had 2 chances in the prime of his career to make a run without Jordan in the way. Remember what I said about curdling guts? 93-94. Jordan was retired and playing baseball. The title was up for grabs. What a lovely time for the Knicks to win 57 games. Even a season-ending Doc Rivers injury barely hurt the league's best defense. New York acquired Derek Harper mid-season, sent Starks and Oakley to the All-Star game, and finished the regular season on a tear. After handling the Nets, the Knicks finally eked out a series win against the Pippen-led Bulls. In the Eastern Conference Finals, New York survived a serious scare from Reggie and the improving Pacers. Patrick punctuated a superb Game 7 performance with one of his 22 rebounds, this tip dunk to secure his first trip to the NBA Finals. The Knicks faced the Houston Rockets, who'd barely eluded their Choke City label with a comeback against the Phoenix Suns in round 2. That said, the Rockets orbited around Ewing's best positional rival and the clear MVP of a Jordanless NBA, Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem outperformed Patrick in games 1 through 4 of the '94 finals, but Starks and Harper shot the Knicks to a Game 2 victory in Houston, then did it again in Game 4. That helped them recover after rookie Sam Cassell attacked in Game 3. Ewing finished the MSG portion of the series with an outstanding Game 5. That and Anthony Mason's gritty performance off the bench sent the Knicks back to Texas in good shape. Up 3-2, they just needed to steal one more road win to become NBA champions. Game 6 didn't look like the one. Ewing shot poorly, and the Rockets led by 7 with under 2 minutes left. But crunch time was Starks' time. The fiery guard scored 16 of his 27 points in the fourth quarter. He finished inside to cut the margin to 5, made a play to get the ball back, then struck again from downtown to bring the Knicks within arm's reach. Later, when Kenny Smith rimmed out his chance to ice the game, the Knicks had one possession to win it all, and an obvious candidate to take the shot. Starks accelerated over a sturdy Ewing pick, but dribbling to his left didn't gain enough separation from Olajuwon, who switched in time to swing a fingertip at what could have been the trophy-winning three-pointer. Game 6 could have been the John Starks game, a glorious tale. Instead, Game 7 became the John Starks game, in a more Charles Smith game kind of way. Ewing had another inferior night matching up with Olajuwon, and only Harper really stepped up for the Knicks. But most prominently, Starks followed his near heroics in Game 6 with a shooting line that just drains all the blood from your face. The Knicks did keep Game 7 kinda close, but down the stretch, Olajuwon made the critical plays Ewing did not, and Vernon Maxwell's 3 sealed New York's fate. They'd been so close. Oh well, back at it in '95. A similar squad to '94's posted a similar record and had similar success in the first round of the playoffs. MJ was back, but the Bulls hadn't reoriented enough to overcome the rising Orlando Magic, who would be the conference final opponent after New York performed their annual ritual of eliminating Reggie Miller and the Pacers. But about that. You see, the '95 Pacers didn't just have Reggie. They had old friend Mark Jackson running point. They had a young front court coming into its own, the Davises, Antonio and Dale, and the dunking Dutchman, Rick Smits. It was Smits who led Indiana in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals at MSG, dominating his matchup against Ewing. Despite that, the Knicks held a healthy lead in the final moments. Miller had been off all night. This one was over. Look at the score and the time. Then Miller hit a 3. Okay, just get the ball inbounds and hit your free throw. Oh, shit. Okay, but tie game and Starks got fouled. Just got to okay. One more, though. Shit. Okay, but a rebound. Just put that oh, shit. Okay, just don't oh, shit. Miller hit his free throws. Anthony took a spill. And New York's clean Game 1 victory went sputtering away like a pierced balloon. 8 points, 9 seconds. Another evocative, stomach-churning phrase in this story. The Knicks recovered in Game 2 and looked all set to restore home court advantage with a big lead late in Game 3. But on a night the Pacers took 46 free throws, they stormed back, tying the game on this Smith's jumper out of timeout. Game 3 ended up in overtime, where the Knicks nearly pulled off their own version of the Game 1 ending. Down 6 in the closing seconds, Harper stole this inbound pass to make it 4. Reggie dribbled off his foot to give New York the ball back, and there was Harper again from way outside. 1-point game. Then Haywood Workman missed one of his 2 free throws. Eerily similar to New York's collapse. And when Harper missed one shot, the Pacers were kind enough to grant New York another that Oakley couldn't get over the defense. Buns. This series had only begun though. Indy went up 3-1 with a Game 4 blowout, but Ewing's Game 5 winner made it 3-2. Then New York pulled off a shocking road win in Game 6. After all that nonsense, the Knicks just had to win Game 7 at home to eliminate the Pacers again. They fell behind by a wide margin, but marched back into the game. Starks hit a 3, and Harper played some perfect defense to set up a final shot for overtime. This Ewing drive looked like just the thing until it didn't. The Pacers finally did it. Ewing and friends didn't even get close to a rematch with the Rockets, and any window of opportunity to avoid the Bulls had shut. Chicago made that very clear in that 96 series. But never mind avoiding the Bulls, the 97 and 98 Knicks couldn't even make it that far. New York's solution to getting humiliated by Jordan in 96 was trying to sign him, and Shaq. Good idea, but no dice. Instead, Ewing's new supporting cast included the sore but still productive Larry Johnson, sweet shooting youngster Allen Houston, and Chris Childs, who'd settle into a kind of point guard platoon with Charlie Ward. Yes, the guy who won the 1993 Heisman Trophy. New York's coach, after the first post-Pat Riley hire didn't work out, was former assistant Jeff Van Gundy. The 97 Knicks once again played excellent, crunchy, defense-first basketball. They swept Charlotte in the first round of the playoffs, then went up 3-1 in the second round against Riley's new team, the Miami Heat. Perhaps looking ahead to a conference final against MJ, the Knicks slipped up and lost Game 5, but the real damage wasn't the final score. It was the moment Ward tangled with Miami's P.J. Brown, who heaved him over the baseline and provoked players into storming off the bench, which the NBA does not like. The league's truly ludicrous distribution of suspensions sunk the Knicks. With no Ewing, Miami's Alonzo Mourning, remember him, controlled Game 6. Dude even hit a 3 down the stretch of a close game. Game 7 in Miami was just a blowout. This moment completely flipped the series. This brings us to the final chapter of Patrick Ewing's career with the Knicks. It's a weird one. In December 1997, the 35-year-old Ewing smashed up his wrist after an airborne hip check from Andrew Lamb. Pat had been remarkably durable for a guy his size. I count him missing 20 games in the previous 10 seasons combined. But the broken wrist required surgery, which put Ewing on the shelf for 56 games and New York's whole first-round playoff series, a revenge upset against the Heat. Ewing was reactivated partway into another playoff rematch with the Pacers, one the Knicks already trailed because of Jalen Rose and Travis Best going off in Game 1. Game 2 fell apart because of some foolish late-game errors. The Knicks needed to recover at home and got partway there with a Game 3 victory. But Game 4 came down to Smits outplaying the tentative Ewing and Miller corralling a weird offensive rebound to hit this 3 for overtime. Sickening.
It's good! It's good! Miller ties it with 5!
Indiana took over from there, then the Pacers came home and kicked the Knicks out of another postseason. 99 was another drama and injury-riddled season, not just for Ewing and his aging legs, but for important newcomers Latrell Sprewell and Marcus Camby, who'd replaced some 90s stalwarts. But in a bizarre lockout season, New York turned a narrow playoff berth into a preposterous run. In another battle against the top-seeded Heat, the Knicks pulled off a historic upset. Ewing had his best performance of those playoffs in a decisive Game 5, best remembered for this Allen Houston runner that won the whole series. By the time the Knicks had swept the Hawks and bottled the magic of Larry Johnson's Game 3 winning 4-point play to upset the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, Ewing's Achilles tendon was toast. He'd have no role in this unexpected second career trip to the NBA Finals. It probably didn't matter. The 99 Knicks run was amazing, but with or without Ewing, it was bound to end at the feet of unstoppable newcomer Tim Duncan and his San Antonio Spurs. New York had a more normal 99-2000 season, at least on the court, and once again, Ewing's most energetic playoff game was a clincher against Alonzo and the Heat, a Game 7 victory he punctuated with this dunk. After that, it was Pacers time, yet again. And once more, Ewing got a flat tire. He exited Game 2 after just a few minutes, then watched the Knicks blow multiple opportunities in the final minute of a close one. Houston missed for the lead, Sprewell missed for the tie, and the Knicks let Dale Davis grab the rebound off his own damn free throw. New York recovered at home, but couldn't beat the Pacers in Indiana and lost in 6. Wouldn't have mattered anyway because, yeah. Ewing's career with the Knicks ended with an ugly, botched trade instead of an extension, and he played his final rickety seasons with no real hope of snagging a farewell ring. But let the way New York re-embraced their hero after his unpleasant exit demonstrate. Despite some head-to-head defeats, despite moments of heartbreak brutal and bizarre, despite an injury-filled twilight, Patrick Ewing meant everything to the Knicks. A legend without a ring is a legend just the same, especially remembering all it took to deny it. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to learn more about what happened after Ewing left the Knicks, we've got an episode of Collapse about that, or you can watch some more Untitled over here.